Good evening. I want to call our meeting to order for the Hartsville Tristelle Water Sewer Utility Board. And if I can call this meeting to order, and it looks like we are missing one more, so I don't think he'll be here, but we'll just go ahead and ask for the prayer and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Tommy, if you'll lead us in prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time this evening, and that we pray that you be with each and every one here as decisions will be made for the betterment of this county. Father, we pray that you'd give us insight and abilities above and beyond what our capabilities are, and help us to be a help to the community. In your precious and powerful name we pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. For a roll call, I'll just place on the record that Mr. Dwight Jewell is not here at this time. We do have a quorum. I
just wanted to say Mr. Jewell called and said his ankle's supposed to stay off of it for several days, and he apologized for having to be absent.
Thank you. And then we will go, you all received a packet in the mail. There was a little bit of change that was handed to you tonight from what you received in the mail, but that was on the budget, and Tommy's going to go over that with us when we get there. So if we can go ahead and look at our minutes from the March 22nd meeting. I have a question, but I'll follow anyone else if anybody else has any questions or comments about the minutes. Anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes? I'm going to ask that we add, they presented themselves as Julie and Martha Dixon, who spoke at the special called meeting on that group of minutes, because we do have two sets of minutes. I'm just going to ask to confirm that the individuals who were presented and spoke before the water board, that they be on the minutes and recognized on behalf of the Dr. Smith Lane development, and that no action was needed unless anyone else feels that more needs to be said. That's going to be on the April 14th. I apologize, I jumped the gun.
Do you want it to be added that they were present for the March 22nd as
I would say they were present, and I think they are on here as present, but I would also like to bring to the attention of the minutes that they actually spoke before the board on behalf of the Dr. Smith Lane development, and no action was needed. Unless there's any other comments or suggestions for that or anything else.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I have a first on the floor, Mayor Chambers, and then I also have Mark White with a second for is that for the April 14th and the 22nd both, sir?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to approve the March 22nd as presented and the April 14th as amended, to add the people who spoke on behalf of Dr. Smith Lane. So, sorry. I'll make that would be my official motion.
Thank you for that motion. As your second follow with that, Mr. Good with the second? Have a first and a second on the floor. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. That's going to take us to our March 22nd financial report is number 6 on our agenda. And that's going to be Tommy, Mr. McFarland, if you'll present that with us, please.
Yes, we're currently about 8.25% ahead of income on this statement. And unless y'all have any questions, everything looks pretty good.
Are there any questions? I have a question about line 0. It appears to be 20-4457-00000001 on contribution and gifts for $58,567.50. I just need for you to identify and describe what those contributions and gifts are for that figure to be transferred.
I believe, if I remember this right, it's the fire hydrant project and Bridle Pass, some of Bridle Pass stuff. Projects we personally do. We're doing the fire hydrant change outs and we depreciate all that work or capitalize it. And any other line that we would do the same thing. Any other project like that. That's its value as what we've been putting into it.
So do I understand this is an in-house line item that you are putting a number to the work that the water department is actually doing and utilizing in-house and then billing it out, but then also taking it in as for this as well?
Yes, and it could also be, for instance, if a developer does something, builds it, and you take that value and you also put it in this line item. If it's worth, $200,000, you would put $200,000 of value. When he gets done with the project, we have to depreciate that. And so it shows as an income on your line item statement that year that it was done and also starts depreciating.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I do, Madam Chair.
Take the floor.
On the should be line item, it says water tap sales. I'm looking at this. I think for the year to date actual, we're a little bit, was it $53,046.56 below what we projected to be at this time in the budget year? Is that correct? Or is that over? Because it's got year to date actual 130,950. And it says budget period 183,996.56.
Yes, it is.
So it's under 53,46.56.
Mm-hmm. That being said, it's possible. I've had conversations with some of the developers now that you may see some of them come in here before the budget year end and then take care of some of their fees and such. And so that line item might change by the end of the year. And we still are adding taps. We put in about 6 this month, so it may not reflect till next time, but we are adding taps. We're putting some in as we go. Got one on Friday, another one, but we are getting some in. They're coming in, I guess, at a little bit better rate with the weather change.
So I have one more question about the depreciated items. Do we have any that are completely depreciated out that are not on this list?
in the list that we have of our depreciated items, they have their year schedules, and anything should be off the books or was reused or repurposed and purchased again. And we'll be doing that this year with a truck that we buying, and some of this, of course, some of this other equipment will go on as a regular depreciation. But next year, in the next couple of years, we're about to have several pickup trucks and some other stuff come off, and we'll want to repurchase those as well.
Thank you. That's going to help us with some conversation we're about to have that's been asked of the board, just so everybody knows where I'm coming from on that one. If anyone else has any questions. Do we have a motion to approve the March 2022 financial reports?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. We have a first on the floor.
I second the motion.
And I have Ms. Stafford as a second. Thank you. Any discussion, any further discussion needed? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 7 on the order of business is our water loss report. And Mr. Tommy, if you could fill us in on that, please.
Yeah, the estimate this time's a little higher than last year's, about a 7.5% more. We've been looking for leaks and fixing some, mostly services is what we found. They're calibrating our meters today. We have to do that annually. The water plant's getting tested after we did some repairs. We'll see if that made a difference down there on those items that we thought was causing some issues. If it's not that, it may have to be a new meter device put in for the raw water and finished water to monitor it a little more efficiently. That could be where some of these numbers get skewed. But they did that calibration test today, so we'll get those results pretty soon.
You think you'll have those results by our next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they do them. They'll have to send out a report, but he has the results today. I just haven't had a chance to talk to him.
Thank you.
But they give you official report.
Next order of business is our engineering report from Evan White with Midtown Engineering. Mr. White, if you'll come to the stand, please.
SRF, we're still waiting on them. So I don't have an update as far as they're going through their paperwork. The 20-year plan, we're getting really close. We've got some projections that's projected. UT is give y'all's projection for population for the next 40 years, and it's only 14%. We feel like that's very low. So we've got different projections than them. So we'll show you all that we're wanting to do a work session. I think it's what Tommy's wanting to suggest, so we can sit down with y'all and go over some of it, because we got to get questions answered and some projections so we can complete our report. But we're almost to that point. We're trying to get a whole list together where we can just go through it and answer these questions instead of making 2 or 3 meetings out of it. So we're getting real close to getting that list ready to come meet with y'all. So I think Tommy's going to get with y'all and try to, or y'all can set it in this meeting, a work session. The office, we've got a change order for it. The building's coming along. I'm trying to think of any other projects. I can't think any off the top of my head. So the change order that needs to be approved by y'all, it includes, there's some earthwork to the east that was needing to be done. I think Tommy's wanting to get that done while they're here, so he's give us a price on that. There's 3 light poles that's by the parking lot, and they've got to be moved so they can get a electrical service into the building, because we was going to come off of, and I don't even know their name, but it's the printing place. We was going to come off of that pole, and then when that was before they got to running, I think they're pulling a whole lot of power on it and all that. So Tri-County's wanting to come a different direction. So those 3 light poles has got to be taken out, and we got to address that. So, and then the door openers, we spec'd out a door opener that would work. It's based on duty cycle, but with the size of the doors and the use of them, the door supplier really felt like the heavier duty openers should be used. I talked to Tommy and we kind of all agreed. So it's 6 doors, and that's why the price is, I think it was 9 something. Yeah. So when you do it per door, it's really not that much more expensive per opener. It's just you got 6 of them. So
copy of that is in your packet for the change order, just so you see, right after the loss report.
9870. And I think he's going to do some of there's some work where y'all purchase some land too, that he's waiting on us to try to get him a plan on how to incorporate that into the parking lot. So is that all, Tommy? Do you think of any?
Yeah, I believe that's it.
You don't say the 3 poles in the change order y'all got in front of you, but he did say that was included. I've got written confirmation of that one.
Yeah, I also confirmed it with him too. It's all in there. It just wasn't written in this document.
You have it written somewhere else? Yes. Email or text or something? Okay. Yes. We can just make sure that we have that on record so that we don't get hit by that at a later date. Yes.
Madam Chair, I can speak a little bit on the company's called AmeriColor or Catalog Kings. I recently was able to go on a tour of their facility, and they've got a printing machine in there that right now they don't have a sufficient electrical system to hook it up, but it's about the half the width. It's about as long as the half the width of this courtroom, and they're going to bring in 2 more. So they're going to have 3 right there. So they're having to upgrade their electrical because right now it's not even sufficient to hook up 1, and they're going to hook up 3. So that's where the electrical, that they've got to severely upgrade that building to put those in there. And they're also expanding the building to add on a 15,000 and 10,000 square foot additions. So they're going to be using a lot of power.
Anybody else have any questions, comments, discussion? This, Evan, this is when you go out what I call the back side of the building, this east side. Is that where you brought it to be, where it would be safer out that back end? Tommy?
I get my directions. It's on what I call if you're running into the building, it's the very back.
Okay, that's what I meant.
We'll be able to make better use of the lot and drive around that area. At first, you couldn't do that before. After, wasn't going to be able to do that, but they filled all that in back in there. We'll fill all that in, and it'll be prepared and could possibly be paved if need be. We'll probably end up with 1 more change order for all this is over with, about some paving before it's over with, near the end of the project. Hopefully that'll be the only other one.
Now, with that next change order for the paving, will that be for this new real estate that we, not real estate as in that was purchased, but this new area that was brought up to the grade a little bit better?
Like to, yes.
Okay. So it's not anything to do with what's in front of the building? Okay. Just want to make that clear. Just so you all know, if you walk over to the site on the back end, the elevation drops drastically right behind it. And this just brings it up a little bit more. And that's what I was asking. And it does look like it'll be a little bit safer environment for someone to go out the back end of the building. If anybody has any more questions or concerns, Mr. Evan? All right, and this is prior to services or post services? Is this changeover before or after services are received? Thank you.
And if y'all got questions about anything else, I'll answer them too.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
As you were just talking about that little, I guess it's 20-foot area of land we just recently purchased, is that going to be included in a future change order, or is that, okay?
He's waiting on us to get him a plan on what to do there. And I've got to get with Jim and try to get the property lines that was actually purchased and add those into our site plan.
Do you think that you could incorporate that into the pavement change order? Because we heard that there'd be one more change order. I just want to make sure there's not 2 or 3 coming down.
No, they should be one more.
Okay.
And that's if y'all want to do it or not. So.
Okay. And I know we've been out there and looked at that parking lot before, that maybe they didn't put sufficient base on it behind the administration building because it's cracking pretty severely in some places. Is that going to affect, I know Tommy's looking to have maybe a few heavier trucks coming in out there. Is that going to affect that? Do we need, and I don't know that that's on the water department or the county, do we need to look at doing something with that parking lot? I know we talked about changing the parking because you're going to lose some of that parking over there by the new building. We talked about extending some parking over closer to the administration building and changing some of the traffic flow. Is that something, again, is that going to be on water department going to help with that, or is that going to county, or exactly how's that going to go?
I guess I'll leave that up to y'all, but the mayor did bring that concern to us. We went out there and looked at the parking lot. There's substantial cracking where the people park, and I think the way the traffic flows is another thing. So if you do pave it, we could have it core drilled just to see if there is any stone under the paving. It appears not to be so from what we can tell by the crack, by looking, but just to confirm, it was, I guess, rumored that no base was put down. So I told the mayor I would not pave over what's there if it does not exist, because you're just wasting money. So I guess that we could bring it up, however y'all want to work that one out between the two agencies, but with some heavier trucks or just over time. I mean, it is wearing down. The new part's going to be brought up, so I mean, Tommy could stay, work that one side if you had to with heavier traffic, but it's going to be hard to get around that building with big stuff, around the drive-through anyway. So as far as that goes, that was, I guess, another concern we had at the very beginning.
Yeah, the paving back there is pretty rough shape. I don't think a lot of places you see dirt, so it may not even have a gravel base under it, and that might be why it's a bad shape. And if we do drive a lot of heavier equipment over time, I'm sure it's going to tear it up. It just wouldn't put down well. I'm not as far as I'm concerned, if we tear it up, we don't care to help with it, but I will help. In my opinion, we don't care to help, but that's up to the board. If they want to help do any future work there to fix it up. But I will probably say if we drive around there quite a bit with heavier, trailer and tractor truck and all that, or big truck with the trailers and the backhoe equipment and stuff, it's probably going to wear it down pretty quick because it's just too good laid to begin with.
Can we get an estimate on what that might cost? Fixing the administration.
Well, we need to know what's on it.
Yeah,
Do a core.
Yeah, the core's 500.
Just so we have an idea of what we're gonna argue with county commission about. Might as well just go and say we'll pay for it, 'cause that's all they want to hear.
Well, unfortunately, I sat on both sides of it, so looking at it from that way, I'd say 50-50, but I know, I do agree, we need to do the core on it, because just the cracks, some of them are, you can stick probably 3 or 4 of your fingers in one of the cracks, and it doesn't look like that there's any base under it, but then again, yeah.
It could have just rode it out in that one crack, and that's what we want to make sure. You can actually go somewhere that's got a good layer of asphalt and just core down through it. Of course, they'll fill it back up and cap it, so it won't be an issue once they do it, but that'll tell you. And I feel like if you check one place, you're probably just, in the center, if they didn't do it there, they probably didn't do it nowhere else. So it's, usually you'll do, 4 or 5, depending on how large a parking lot is, just to get an idea. But it's one of those things we can have them come in and pull one. If there's nothing, then we can stop and go from there. But you definitely need to have a good base and of stone down if there's not, or it's just gonna keep sinking. So you're just gonna be throwing money away.
I understand what you're saying. Do we know if that parking lot was created in phases, or if all the area that is pre-existing was in one timeline?
I think it was done in phases, because you can see a seam when you go behind the administration building. As you come up that back drive and drive actually behind the building, as you pass the ADA ramp, there's a little bit of a seam kind of be towards the east toward the archives building. You can see a seam in the asphalt. And I think I've been told that parking lot was added after that one going around the administration building. So I think that was a later parking lot addition. So if we make a request, if we can change that request, Mark, so that it state that it be for the 2 areas of the 2 phases. Is that okay with you, Mark? And Tommy, do you need movement on this?
It's just, if we're going to do some paving at the end of this project, probably best to do it all at one time.
Well, I think with this body may need to see all that. And
yeah, I mean, whatever that, if you're going to do something, it'd probably be best to do it while we're doing all the work, if we're going to do it, and then see what all it's going to cost.
And Madam Chair, I would say if there's a way to, I think you said it's going to be $500 and something. Yeah, we probably got enough in our existing budget in the county's building fund or something to do, at least put half the cost with it, and to see what that's going to be, and then get an idea of what kind of work we're going to have. And then if it comes to paving that lot, maybe the county, while they're here paving, the county pays to do some of their lot, and then the water department's doing their lot. Maybe work it out, something like that, because I do not believe the water department should pay for all the parking lot, the administration building. I don't think we should do that. But if there's a way to work it all in together to where we can have them all on site, and it's not, it'll be cheaper to have them all do it all at one time than we'll do it and then come back later.
Can our highway department do it?
I believe they can. They did the convenience center, so they should be able to. Just if they're available or not. I think that's going to be, I'd have to talk with Mr. Scruggs, and I think it'd be something we follow up on after we get the core, because he came over and looked at it too, and he doesn't think there's a base under it, but we would need to verify.
Well, if it's that bad, it needs to be fixed, whether we're going to drive on it or not. But I mean, just rather go ahead and bite the bullet and get this argument over with.
Mr. Weber, do you have a question? I saw your hand. I didn't know if you had anything. Okay. If you'll get that started for us, Evan, and it looks like it may be a little more work for you to figure out how we have the parking already set up or the pavement for the new building. It might be good if the next meeting you bring that to the conversation and show us what we already have pre-existing planned for the structure, for the new structure. And so we will know what would be an addition to. Does that make sense?
Yes, I think there was 3 parking spots that was getting removed, 3 to 4. That was going to be blacked out, striped out with the current layout.
But your pavement around the building as well is what I'm also asking about. So if you have any paving in the plans for the structure at this time.
all around the new building is, but the existing parking lot was staying.
Thank you.
So they was just going to do an apron off the finished floor down to what's there.
Okay.
It's kind of how that was, and then just stripe out the parking. We wasn't restriping it to change the direction of traffic, you know, in any form than what's the way they already moved through there. But over on the admin side, we feel like we could improve the way traffic flows through there if they wanted to, when you repave it, you know, whoever repaves it, the county or the water department, because there's no sense in going in there and trying to restripe, you know, wasting money restriping it with the paving in the shape it is. And once you pave it, you got to restripe it anyway. So it's all about trying to, you know, be good stewards of the money, you know.
I agree. Thank you. And I appreciate the partnership opportunity with the county. Anybody has anything else, Mr. Evans? You don't have a movement needed for anything. We're going to go forward. Oh, you do? I see your finger.
For the change order.
For the change order, you do need.
It's over Tommy's limit. So.
Okay.
And we wouldn't need it on the boring because I think it falls in his limit. I mean, it's well within his limit to do it. So just the change order.
Motion to approve the change order in the amount of $31,870 for the new shop building.
Mr. Weber has a motion on the floor. I have a second.
Second.
Mr. White has a second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. I didn't give anybody any time to talk, but I think we've talked. If you got anything, holler. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next order of business is our general manager report from Tommy McFarland. Approval budget for the 2022-2023 year budget is the first thing you have on there.
Yeah, on the most of the income items that we normally grow maybe like a 1 and 1.6% a year, and this coming year we got several developments out there that if you just figure on one of them, you'll reach 2.5. And one of them's already they're doing all the groundwork. They've got all of it pretty much getting the groundwork done. They're just waiting to get their water lines approved to get started on that, which they've moved ahead and they're ready to send that to Evan. They're made for final approval, and they can send that to TDEC and get it approved, and they'll be ready to do their water line and sewer stuff. And that's that 48 lot development on Highway 25. But on the income this side, put in about a 2.5% increase on estimated growth. Just that you'll have a good year if all these developments come in. I just looked at adding that one to this and looking at it. I don't like to do a lot of growth speculation, but you got quite a few out there this year that's peeking ahead. There's at least another one come through the desk this week, another one on Highway 25, but near where the new Dollar General store is going. There'll be one right there. And some of these I usually just look at the audit, what the audit was and what our guesstimations was, and pick the one I think we might be more stable with, and to base that off of, what number I based it off of. And all the salary stuff we went through and added we had a few new employees that had to be added into that wage study that wasn't in the original wage study, and got all those placed. And I think I put them in there as their category on that one form. The mayor asked me to add every employee if they were a Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3. I did all that, got them all put in there. And got those adjustments in. The only thing we don't know about the salary stuff is, unless y'all have questions about it, is we don't know what they might be a percent for the cost of living, that the county may not have decided what that number might be yet. In fact, does that sound fair, Mayor, for an estimate on that?
Yeah, the county commission had asked, or the budget and finance committee had asked my office to present them kind of what the salaries would be with the wage study, and then increasing that either 2.5%, 5%, or 7% for what's usually referred to as cost of living adjustment. And we did furnish that to them at the last meeting. And then they asked for another piece of information, I think, which would just be straight up, here's what it would be with the wage study and no cost of living adjustment. So the county commission has not voted on exactly what that amount is going to be paid to the county employees. And I had suggested, I believe at a previous meeting, we try to follow what they're doing. And so again, I know we don't have that amount, and so it's kind of hard to budget on that, but if we can get something as we go through the budget process, we can change it. But right now we don't have anything from the county commission. I can't sit here and tell you which amount it's going to be as to what they're going to do on the wage increases for the county employees.
I also did a breakdown for y'all like we did the year before. Started out with 2.5 and went up 1% for up to 7.5, and how that affects the budget. On the bottom line for that. I would respectfully, and I know it probably won't be favorable, but I would ask for the 4.9% that all, I guess the United States citizens got this year for cost of living. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Yeah,
I believe it was.
I would respectfully ask for it. I may not get it, but I'm going to ask for it.
Well, I believe it was 5.9%. You're talking about the cost of living adjustment for Social Security.
Yeah, Social Security.
I believe it's 5.9.
Because of the inflation, it's already out of whack anyway.
So the 5.9, you're asking for the salary?
I would ask that. I'm asking that. It may be to what it comes out to be, but I would like to ask for that for the employees here.
Is that the number used for this budget?
No, it's not. I give y'all the choices. It's up to y'all. The closest I got to it was 4.5 and 5.5 and 6.5, wherever it'll lay in there. I can get an actual number, but.
And I know that we're following what the county's doing.
It probably won't follow what the county's doing, no. I'm asking. It don't mean I'll get what I ask for. I don't always do, so I'm just asking. That's what I'm respectfully asking for.
If you don't ask, the answer's always no.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what you get if you don't ask. So that's what I'm asking for. But this budget that you have right here that shows the income, it's based on 2.5. It's not. That's based on the lowest one. Like, I'm realistic, you know. I give you the lowest one. But I would like to ask for the 4.9.
For the salary stuff for this budget, that's based on 2.5%.
That's what I give you here. But this is the breakdown that shows over and it only thing it changes, it'll change the expenses at the bottom. And that same expense number on this sheet would be on this sheet if you change that number. So that's what it'll be. And I included the next sheet shows that's how I break down the cost of the employees, salary, overtime, all that. That's all that stuff goes in the budget. And I also put the step raise and the step range and all their information in their work, their classification, what they are is all in that added in there. And I got 2 pieces. You know, y'all approved the truck, which it was right. The number I gave y'all originally was right on the cost. It was the diesel engine was what made it the $52,000 on the truck. That was an increase from a gas to a diesel. That's why the mayor was saying something different. And I do have a breakdown that is the right number, but it went from a gas to a diesel. There's a 310 mini excavator I put in here on the depreciation side of it. There's another form in there that shows projects and equipment purchases. project costs and equipment purchase. It shows the tank that we hadn't started on yet is in there. The office building, we put that depreciation in there as well. It might need to be adjusted a little bit. That truck's in here, the Snake Hollow tank, we kept some money in there to do a tank renovation project, which we need to be doing some of them. The two pieces of equipment other than the truck would be the Cat Excavator 310. It's about a size or two bigger than what we got. And I was sharing with the mayor, we try to use these to do some of we've had a lot of camera work done in the sewer system. And we know we have a lot of point repairs, and this machine's just a little bit bigger, digs a little bit deeper. We can do some of those on our own point repairs on the sewer system from the camera data we've been gathering. And we've done quite a bit of camera work, basically all the way from Goose Creek, almost up into Park Avenue and down into East Main some. We covered some of those areas pretty good. We found quite a bit of flow issues that we might could fix ourselves. That equipment will help do that. And the little the steer loader will help do that also, to help do those kind of projects. Those are things we do, just their general maintenance projects. Now next year, I couldn't work all those pieces of equipment in this budget this year because it would put you in a deficit. But maybe next year we could look at adding more if we want to continue looking down toward doing other things. But I would like to, y'all don't have to approve them, but I would like to get them approved.
I'd like to really see some kind of analysis of, you know, the savings that you would be generating by doing this work yourself, by purchasing this equipment versus what we're subbing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was sharing with the mayor too. You know, when we use that, trying to think the name of our contract, our contract that we have with the Kemp Brothers. So you know, basically we do the labor, some of the labor, he does the digging mainly. So it's a joint effort with him. This would let us be able to not have him and do all the effort.
But would it be 100% of what he does, or he's still going to have to do 50% because you don't have big enough equipment, that kind of thing? You know, what would it break down to number wise, cost wise?
Cost wise, I may have to think about that, but I guess if we had it, I believe we can do it. If this is my opinion, I believe we can do it cheaper because we already have the men on staff. All I have to do is depreciate. If we do any overtime, we depreciate that work material, and we're not into, I don't think we would be into, you wouldn't have that extra cost of having him just come and dig it. And that, in some cases, that could be $100, say $180 a foot, where we wouldn't, and we're not pushed to be in a rush either. We can do a project as we need to and not be got a 3-month deadline. We won't leave nothing undone, but we could work on it here and there and not be pressed to be on a timeline. And that we did I don't know if y'all are aware, we did the Highway 141 project ourselves, 1.25 miles of 8-inch water line. And he dug he trenched it, and we did all the other labor. I think Mary Dale, I don't know if she can remember, you remember what that worked out to be? About 380,000 or? And that was over 1.25 miles of that was us and him. I could get you those numbers of that project and see what you think about that.
I think that'd be a great reference.
Yeah, that's a project we physically done and have a price on. I can get you those prices, and y'all can decide from that what you think about that.
So questions about the equipment? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt somebody else. The track hoe, the 310. Is that with steel or with rubber?
I believe it's steel rubber. It's rubber.
It is rubber?
Yes.
Okay. And then also with your, are they all new, all this equipment?
Yes, it's on state bid also, coming to the state.
Okay, and this 25 4x4 utility bed truck, is that the one that we've already voted, is that what you were saying earlier, that it's one we've already put through the budget and approved?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay.
My thing along the same lines as Todd, as far as the equipment goes, I've got no issue with it, and I'm all in favor of doing as much as we can, especially if it means we got more control over the quality of the work. If it means we may be able to employ some more people here in this county, I'm fine with it. But I just want to figure out a way that we can look at it so that we go out and we spend $500,000 on some equipment. What's our ROI? Mm-hmm. How fast are we going to start making money with it? Because that's the thing. I mean, it's we can't just, you know, spend that much money and then it's 10, 15, 20 years, you know, before it pays for itself. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. You know, if it's to the point where we can take on enough jobs and cut out the middleman, so to speak, and then in 5 years, you know, we're making money with it, then I'm in favor of it. But I'd want to know, you know, how much digging are we doing? How often are we digging? Are we projecting more digging in the future? That's all I want to look at.
Well, and two, just the last hire or two I've done, I've got one gentleman that works for us now that's got 18 years experience in a utility, and all he's ever done is run equipment. And that's one reason I hired him. And that's what he'll be doing. Him and another person.
Don't misunderstand. I'm on your side.
Well, I understand. I'm just letting y'all know that's kind of why I hired the gentleman. He has those abilities.
Yeah, we want people to be able to run the equipment when they're on it as well. That's huge. So,
yeah. I mean, I was able to hire this man, and it worked out very well. And most of the last several hires I had already have equipment experience, and that's good. I think in this budget, I think I did put one of those two people I asked for in there, an extra person in this budget as well, just to get started and help with that. But my plan would be, if I had this other piece of equipment, I'm going to put that gentleman, another man, maybe another one to work. And that's all they're going to be doing is putting in sewer clean outs, because we don't have them. And they're going to be fixing some of these point repairs, which is going to help our I&I problem that we've got. And we're trying to work on those areas, especially around the pumps that we have, because we do have a lot of those have I&I, thoroughbred. We know Bridle Path is in terrible shape. It's got other problems, just I&I. The one, the Goose Creek, it's got problems. A lot of them are a lot of small point repairs that we could stop a lot of our bleeding electricity bills and save money, but just fixing some of these things and getting them out of the way. I focused first just on the electric pumping stations to see how bad the I&I was there. If we can stop some of that, that's a lot of electric bill off of you too. That's the purpose of doing some of this stuff. Just trying to cut our costs and help out with the small. The bigger part of the sewer system is in town, and it's a little more vast. And some of it's a lot deeper, and we may have to have specialized help with it. But with this equipment here, we might could get some of these things that are eating their lunch on the water, electric bills and things like that fixed, and get a lot of that knocked out. That was the thought of it and my process of it. Because like I said, we've done a lot of camera data on those areas, and we got one little area that we know it's got roots all up in it. We're going to replace the whole section probably, but all these areas most of them make more than 5 foot deep, so that ain't too bad. You get over that, it gets a little more hairy. But those are definitely things we could accomplish, I think, and save some of our electric bills and save some money too. That's where I was thinking on my line of thought for this equipment.
I mean, if you take a look at all these potential upcoming projects, well, number one, we probably need to do them regardless, you know, what's stopping us. But look at, add it up. If we're going to spend X dollars with Kemp to do this work versus you doing it yourself, what does that look like, Yeah,
I'm trying to go through all these little projects with the camera and data. I'm going through them right now. I'm trying to make a list of all of them. I might can try to get something by next meeting and have that ready to see if I can put a value to that.
And then if you also bring the 141 project back to the surface and show us the benefit of that one too as well, for example.
Yes, I'll bring what that cost was on the
Thank you.
mile and a quarter line that we put in.
You said you've had no indication which route the county is going to go as far as the employees?
If I don't have anything concrete, if I just threw a guess out there, maybe the 5% option, but that's just, I really don't have much to back it up, but just listening to the conversation, I don't think they're going to go 7% because that's almost a 20-cent tax increase. So I don't think they're going to go that high. If they do the 5%, that's about a 10-cent tax increase. So now you can keep in mind also how we did ours is we went ahead and adjusted employees to compensate for all the inflation and everything we had for a little bit. We took all our employees and boosted them up to their next step. So that was a 2.35% increase right there. So if they do the 2.5%, that gets them to about 4.8 something overall, just doing those two. Now, if they do the 5%, well, then that's getting them to about 7.35 overall. But again, just based on their conversations, I think one comment was made about 2.5 is a slap in the face. So just based on that, if I had to read the tea leaves right now, I'd say probably more likely end up somewhere on that 5% one.
I mean, I get where they're coming from, but even this isn't all the numbers. I mean, one number that I noticed is always left out in any estimate is your work comp goes up. And I mean, that hurts, but nobody ever, you know, throws a number out here, what that effect's going to be. I mean, it's good to know Social Security and everything else, but that's part of it too. And I get, you know, 2.5 is a slap in the face, but then at the same time, go run a business. I mean, it's 2.5 is a lot of money, you know. Personally though, I mean, I think we need to take care of our people because they are your number one asset, especially, you know, if you hire people who have experience that you can't buy. I'd like to see us at least 6%, if not more, if we can do it.
We need to make this decision tonight. If so, Tommy.
Well, their budget hearing starting next week or two, ain't it, Mayor?
Yeah, I believe the first one's scheduled for May 2nd.
May 2nd.
And I don't know that that's going to be the water department, but they're starting May 2nd. I don't have an exact list of who's going on what night, but it starts May 2nd.
Yeah, they put a schedule out, but no, who's on what day.
The current salaries, have there been any of those step things? So we've done roughly 4% up to today.
Whatever they were supposed to get on the study plus another step would have been how I done them. And I tried to work out the new people that I hired. I had to work them in, figure out where to put them.
So this, if, for example, you've got the 2.5% in this budget is what you're showing.
Yes.
Is that 2.5 plus the 4.5 or whatever? Yes. Equaling.
Yeah, this column in the red number.
7% already. If we go with the 2.5 number, it's a net 7%. Is that accurate, roughly?
Yeah, and no offense in that, but if you're going to catch somebody up, you're kind of taking what you gave them and trying to half that number. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just want to make sure you weren't putting this in place of what's coming down the road too.
Say that one more time. No, this how this was done was that explain that. Just like the mayor said, whatever the study said that the people that was in the study got, that's what they got plus the step.
And that was the number before the 2.5 was added?
Yes, that's the number
Okay.
before. Yes, I'm sorry.
But the previous 4 was to catch them up because we were behind. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you know, they were like the study was a year old. So and that sounds like I didn't know the mayor did this, but that's what I did. Whatever the study said they would get, I went a step up. And then now that's what's in here. And then whatever they get above that, whatever y'all decide or whoever decides, that's what they'll get.
What I'm driving at is we're looking at this menu of options: 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5.
Yeah.
Which, if we chose one of these options, which would get that closest to the estimated amount that we're guessing the county might go with, is what I'm trying to figure out. Does that make sense? Do you follow what I'm?
And the number, we're shooting at the 5.9 or the 6, or what was it again now?
Well, he said 5.9, but you have 5.5 and 6.5 on here.
Yeah, I just try to give y'all a basis to look at. I didn't give no exact, just kind of.
So Mr. Mayor, when the county is looking at their bump of 5.9, that's in addition to that step already. Is that right? Our guess of speculation that it may be 5.
Well, they weren't looking at 5.9, they were looking at 5 or 7. They asked for 2.5, 5, and 7.
Yeah.
That's what they asked for.
So that 5.5 would be close-ish to our speculation on what the county would do.
I'm looking through my papers and I don't know what I did with it. I don't think I'm looking at the same thing you are. Thank you. Okay.
But we don't know what the county's going to do, right?
Right. There's no locked in.
No, I couldn't tell you right now a definite road. I think it's going to be what we proposed with the 5%.
Far be it from me to rock the boat, but I really don't care what the county's going to do. I think we make our own decision because we make our own money. We pay our own people. If they don't like it, well, they're not going to like it anyway. So who cares? I still say if cost of living is 5.9, then we need to be at 6. I get that they got 4 previously, but that was catch up. So I really don't see how you can even. I mean, yes, it's a cost. The money's there, but we were behind. So
I was considering, I don't know if we're supposed to say this, but making a motion of 5% or matching the county, whichever is greater. If the county goes 7%, then we catch up with the county, or we do 5%, and if the county does 0.5%, it is what it is.
how you feel about that, Tom?
That sounds fair.
Means you buy me breakfast.
And I think that by my very rough, terrible Tennessee school system math, that should work within our budget if we adjust that number. Was that accurate?
If you'd use the 7.5 in this example, that would be the highest effect to your budget on the expenses. It would change it the most, you know.
But we can afford it, right?
You still got a positive income, yes, yes. And I do believe you'll have a good year this year as far as all these developments.
We better.
So I've got a couple other questions about just general items in the budget, Tommy. The data processing, you've got a note for 10K added estimated IT expenses, but even with that, we're 15K over 2021. However, we're still just pretty high on our estimated IT budgets. Is there anything specific driving that?
Postage budget has went down, and that budget went toward them. Okay, so that goes through them. The IT stuff, we don't have a good IT system right now, and one of the things we found out, we've had some issues with the software system with glitches, and they thought it was our internet system and all this. And what we found out after a while of fooling with this, they made it better, and it's working a lot better. But what makes us different than any other customer they got, we're not in their IT system. And it could be some of the internet firewalls in the building. We don't control those, and that may be one of the issues we've had. That's why this will get us under some better cyber protection too. It's 10 grand, and I'd like to do that. And it's the same company. We're just adding that system to it. They're going to start taking care of that. So hopefully all the other problems we've been having will get better as well. But we are done a lot better than we don't have as many problems that we once had. Every now and then we have when they do a software update, they sometimes have issues they have to go back and fix. But that's about it right now, the problems we've had. We used to have some terrible problems starting out, and they've had to beef up our firewall. They've had to do all kinds of things to get this stuff to work right. But I think once we get in our new building, we're just going to wait to pull that trigger until we move into the new building to add that. So it won't be right at July 1st. So, but that's what it costs a year.
The maintenance and equipment, we've got $92,000 estimated for this budget period, but we're only budgeting $55,000 for next. Any comments on that? That's going to be line 336. Maintenance repair equipment 204-55900-336.
You looking at the 92,000 number? That's an estimation. I didn't use that number to base my budget off of. When I do my estimations, I look at, say, if I'm looking at 8 months of data and I know I got 4 more months left, I will do a calculation, and it tells me, I got to look at that calculation and say, am I really going to spend that money? That's why I look at that, and I look at our previous year, and I look at what we budgeted, and I try to figure out where am I going to fall in this, where I think I'm going to fall. But that number is not what I base that off of, I don't believe.
Well, I mean, even given that, we're up to 70 grand actual for this budget period already, but we're still just budgeting 55.
And we're selling some of those older pieces of equipment that caused some of that there's a truck going to be sold. If we buy that piece of some of this new equipment, I have a 20-plus-year-old backhoe that'll be probably sold. We use it and we keep it running, but.
So you really do think the maintenance budget will hold pretty close, regardless of what happened this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I feel. It's my estimation. It might blow up on me, but most everything, the oldest thing we got after we sell some of this other stuff will be the dump truck, the old white dump truck that we got. And I actually got a cylinder went out on it that operates the bed, and I can't find one. So I'm trying to find one now.
I've got the same question for line 204 blah 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 -499 on the last page, the other supplies and material. We got a pretty big estimated number, and which again, it's an estimate, but
Marydale banks our project stuff in there, and then she turns it over to depreciation. So there's some of that's got to come out this year. I got some more of my fire hydrants to turn into her. That one line item that was entered into the income, that 58,000, that's one of those, that was the fire hydrants. I probably got another block of that to do.
So there's going to be some shuffling.
There's going to be some shuffling.
You're real good with that. No,
Yes.
that 425 number. Okay.
I believe we can. And on just for another number for your reference, we spent a lot of money this year on materials because we wanted to make sure we had them because it's been hard to get some. And I bought some extra fire hydrants. So I bought about 60 more fire hydrants. And that one line item, it's about $500-something thousand. I think it'll go down about $100-something thousand this year because I won't replace that again. But we got enough work to do on fire hydrants for a while. I mean, we got a lot to get done. I probably won't have to do that for another year or so if we want to look at doing some more. But I've got enough fire hydrant replacements to keep me busy for another year or so. And we're starting to do that, starting to work on them again. Getting ready for those. Get started back on that.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Mayor.
Yeah, I have just an observation. What I think you're going to hear when you go to county commission is they're going to focus on this bonus payment line item because we've heard it the last couple of years, and I think they're going to hit on it again this year that they're getting whatever we just settle on as far as these raises. They're going to get that plus this bonus, and none of the other county employees get it. So I think that's what you're going to hear when we go forward.
But am I wrong in thinking that other department heads could build that into their budget the same as the water department does?
Not with me doing it, no. If they come and ask for a bonus right now, I gave them 2 bonuses this year. And that's not something I ordinarily do. I'd look at it doing it something more sustainable. I mean, that's what we're looking at. That's why I asked to have the wage study done to try to get us back to where we should be. But I can tell you right now, I've done 2 bonuses this year and you couldn't pay me to do another one. It is a bigger hassle than you can imagine. No. I
don't disagree, and I don't like bonuses. I'd rather it just be a straight line item raise. It's a lot easier to keep track of it that way too. I don't know. I guess I don't like other departments complaining about what the water department does. I mean, they're welcome to do it a different way.
Mayor, I had a question just for, if you went away from that, what about these, is the longevity bonus something that's really considered, that would be a replacement for that in a way?
Are you talking about, and I'm going to have to ask you to clarify, are you talking about the longevity increase that the sheriff's department currently has, or are you talking about the 2.35% that's built into the wage study that could be annually? Is that what you're, which one are you talking about?
I vaguely remember the longevity bonus being mentioned. I thought that meant current for all departments. I didn't know, I may have been mistaken.
Well, the sheriff's department right now is currently the only one that gets a longevity bonus, and it's not every year. It's after, I think after they graduate to academy, they get an increase. And then after 5 years of service, I think they get an increase. But in the wage study that was set up, that came up with the grades and the scale, between each scale, let's say how we would look at doing it is we would do an employee evaluation. If the employee performs satisfactorily, then they could propose that they move to the next step. Well, from one step to the next one is a 2.35% increase. So you could get that theoretically. Let's say you did 2.35% over a year and you did 5 years, that's 11.75% increase over 5 years if you're going by that scale we built in. So technically there could be a longevity in there, though it was tried to be somewhat merit-based because we do have some employees that may not be getting that if it was done on a performance basis. And I will say, as far as the other departments, as we've seen recently, not all of them are done exactly the same. The sheriff's department's getting something different than EMS, and that's caused consternation among other employees of these immediate increases they've got. And I had one today use that exact phrase. Well, they've got these and we didn't get anything, and slap in the face is the word that was used with me. So again, but I will say, as to Mr. White's point, the water department doesn't get any tax revenue. It generates its own funds. And it does, I believe the ordinance does say that the general manager fixes the compensation for the employees of the water and sewer department. So, but I'm just letting you know, because it came up last year. I'm letting you know, we're going to hear it again when we go up there again this year, is those bonuses.
Thank you for the warning. So appreciate it. So to move forward on our budget, we'll need to come to a tentative agreement on the wage for the budget to be submitted.
To the mayor's point, that bonus figure, what's that average out to per person? Rough numbers are fine.
It's $450 per person a year for the employees.
Is that what we give them at Christmas?
That's what you give them in December, yes.
Well, I'm fine with leaving it. I understand and I appreciate, the mayor pointing it out. Far be it for me to be a troublemaker, but I mean, sucks to be somebody else is all I know.
The money I can get was a compromise when I got hired. They didn't know if I could do the work, so they put a condition in there that I had to earn the other amount of money I asked for, which I took that deal, and that's where the $5,000 a year comes in. I asked for a certain amount of money when I come here, but they didn't. It was a trial basis, so I didn't really want that personally, guys. I'm not going to die if y'all get rid of mine. I'd rather you just take care of the employees on my part, but I did ask for a certain amount of money when I come here, and that was the compromise. If I did a good job, I could get it. So, and I've gotten it every year so far, but I personally just rather have it on my income personally, and not worry about it. But that's my feelings. But that was a kind of conditional of hire, and that can change, I guess. It wasn't wrote in stone. That's up to y'all. We don't.
I'm okay with leaving it alone. I mean, I get exactly what Stephen's saying, and I understand, but I mean, I don't have a problem with it staying in there. And you got your motion ready.
Yeah. So we've got to approve a budget, but we want to adjust the salary rates, and we won't have a second pass at this budget going forward, or is this last shot?
Well, under the charter, the budget has to be approved by the county commission on 3 separate readings. So the first reading, if everything goes well, should be this month. It can be amended all the way up to the 3rd reading. Now, they normally would do what we did last year is we did the first reading was in May, and then we did the 2nd reading at the regular meeting, at the regular commission meeting in June. And you can do the 2nd and 3rd reading on the same night if the commission votes by 2/3 to do it. So, but even then, you could have them pass it on the 2nd reading and then amend something before the 3rd reading. It normally does not happen, but it could. So I would say, going by that, I'd say, no, you could amend this going forward, but you're going to have to take it back to the county commission for approval. And that's where I don't know that that's ever been done. So I'm going to say the way I read it, yes, it could be, because it can be done all the way up to the 3rd reading. So yes, you could come back and amend it, just like the schools are going to have to amend theirs, because we don't know. We haven't set their revenue. The county has to tell them their revenue number. Well, we don't have a certified tax rate yet, so I can't tell them what their revenue number is going to definitely be. So we're going to have to change ours. They're going to have to change theirs. So everybody, I think, is going to get a second crack at it. So I don't think this is going to be the final, unless if you all want to come back and look at it based on what the county commission finally wants to do. And then the county commission will have to understand at that point that we're going to revisit it also. So I think when we go for our budget hearing, that's something we need to say, that we were trying to tie ours to what they were doing, unless this board decides that we're not going to worry about what they're doing. We're going to go with this, and that's that. Now, this totally up to this board. You can do that. Now, they might have some questions about it, but right now, reading the ordinances that was set out, I think you can set your something different from theirs. And again, all of that is not as a member of the board. That's just my kind of somewhat legal training looking at it. So I'm just trying to give you an impartial answer. I know Mark's over here laughing his head off, but I'm trying to give you an impartial answer, not anything's like my opinion. I'm just trying to give you a procedural answer on that.
And that's why you're the mayor.
All right, I make a motion to amend this budget by the employee salary and benefits moving upward by 5% or matching the county salary increase, whichever is greater, and submit this budget to the county for review. Is that a
Has a first motion on the floor, Mr. Weber?
I gladly second.
And a second for Mr. White? All in favor say, any more question? All in favor say aye. Motion, any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you unanimously. Tommy, that takes care of your approval for your 2022-23 budget and the salary. That brings us to the approval for the water tap fee increase for a 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch with a July 1st, 22 effective date.
Yeah, I provided, I think last month maybe gave y'all a glimpse of this, but I wanted to see if y'all wanted to act on it. It's, these are our costs, and this is, we raised these maybe in 2018, I believe, once to get caught up on the costs. We wasn't charging enough at the time to cover our cost. But these are, this is calculated based off of worst case scenario and the cost that we're actually experiencing on the materials. If you want to know if it takes 8 hours to put in a tap, yes, it takes a day or two sometimes because we've had it happen. No people, not mentioning any names, but yeah. But it's where we are. The biggest increase was the 2 inch, which is $2,500 more than what it was back. So y'all can, I mean, I give you what the costs are and what I made a suggested increase, but y'all can make suggestions yourself, but this is the cost.
the highlighted yellow is your direct cost. No, it's not inflated at all. This is the material cost. When you order it from somebody, you're paying this much money.
Push your button, please.
The little information to your right is if it's 3/4, 1 inch, and 2 inch, and that's all the materials it entails to put that together, material wise. And the meter is the other yellow at the top. That's the number. Also, you add those together, and you get your cost.
This 20% profit, I mean, is that some rule or is that just?
That's how we were trained to do these. That's how TAUD taught how to do that. That's kind of if somebody comes out and works for us and they build something, they charge 20% above cost.
But what I'm saying is there's no reason why we couldn't go 25%.
You could change it or take it out if you wish.
Well, the only reason I say anything is because at 20% profit on your 3/4, which it's only $5.49, but you know, we're losing $5.49 going to the proposed rate. Mm-hmm. We're losing $30, almost $31 on the 1 inch. So I know the 2 inch, we cover it by a little bit, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say we do more 3/4 inch and 1 inch taps than anything.
Yes, sir.
Then I would feel better if we go ahead and cover that last little bit. I don't like the idea of losing money on any of it.
Okay. But y'all can make your suggestions, what you think they need to be.
If we were to change this, do we need to make that an effective date of May 31st as well? Is that the date we're using for changes at this point?
Shows July 1, 2022 would be the effective date.
Well, I chose that date just because it's the new budget year. And it gives folks a little notice that there is a change.
Hey, Tommy, I'm looking at this and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm understanding it correctly. Looking, and I'll give you an example. On the 3/4 meter tap cost, you've got meter and the first column says 210. And then we've got the highlight, it says 301. Is 210 what we're currently charging and the 301 is that what it's actually costing us?
That's your old cost there, that 210.
Okay.
The 310, the 301 took its place.
Okay, so
I just left it there for a reference. It may be confusing, I apologize, but that's a reference number.
Okay, so there's 301 for the meter and the 51024 for appurtenances. That's what our cost is today. And then the other columns, what we figured the cost of when we originally did it in 2018, is that correct?
For the 3/4, it was raised to $22.50 back a couple years ago. And I did meant to bring y'all the old rate. We only have 3 of record where we actually increased the rates, and they are about every 10 years. I know we've talked about that, but I was hoping to look at this 20-year study before we get into that conversation.
And as you say rates, you're not speaking, just so everyone knows, you're not speaking about the water selling rate. This is actually for a meter tap cost to be installed on a 3/4 inch, a 1 inch, and a 2 inch, correct?
Yeah, this is installation cost right now is what we're experiencing now. That's how much it's changed. And it keeps going up too. It ain't stopping.
Do you think that 20% profit line item will cover any escalation? Just guessing, cover escalation in costs for the next budget year?
I believe it'll keep us ahead. Yes, I think it'll be. I think we're going to see possibly another year of increases like we've seen last year.
But it's already not covering it. The 20%. I mean, we're losing money on the 3/4 and the 1 inch. So I feel like we need to go to either 25% profit to cover a little, or just instead of 2,600 on a 3/4, go to 3,000, 3,400 on a 1 inch, and maybe 8,000 on a 2 inch, and really cover it. I don't know, whatever y'all think, but I just, especially on 3/4 and 1 inch, because we're going to be doing a lot of them. The more houses they build, that's generally what they're going to get. So if they build 300 houses in a year, and we're losing money on every one of these.
I'm kind of just in favor of round numbers. I agree with you, Mark, the 20 versus 25, but if we pick a round number to adjust it by, I don't know.
Which I know it looks like a lot of money, but I mean, let's face it, if you're building a house right now, this isn't even a drop in the bucket. So I don't want to hear anybody crying about, man, I couldn't build my dream home because you went to $3,000 on my water tap. I'm sure they will, but I mean, it's not, in the grand scheme, it's not that much money. And I cannot ever get comfortable with losing money, even if it's $5, because it's not just $5, it's $5 times 300 or 400 or 500.
If y'all experience another year of, I think we had, I don't know how many increases last year. There's at least 6, 7, 8 different kind of materials. Yeah, it's a big jump, and you may see it again this year. It might keep you from having to do it again in another year, or looking at it down the road another 2 years and having to do it again if you want to stay ahead of cost.
What was their meters increase for purchasing? Do you know your percentage?
Yeah, about 30%. And they've experienced the same issues with the chips and all that same thing that trucks have had. We just got to order meters. It took almost 6 months to get. We've been kind of living on a wing and a prayer with some keeping ours going, but we finally got some in. And we had to order them 6 months apart. You know, I got another order coming out behind that one just to have them. We've been trying to keep it. That's really the only one item that we got a little behind on was meters. And we didn't really understand, they didn't share with us the fact that there was going to be a shortage because of the chips, or we had ordered more ahead of time, but we are getting them in now.
Tommy, the little bit of profit we make on these, and I'm looking at what you gave us here. I guess if you include in the increased cost we've got, that was $2,171.24 on the 3/4 inch meter. And so our current fee was $2,250. So you were only making about $78.76 above what our cost is. Now our profit we make on these, what does that go to pay for, or what part of the budget does that go in to help cover expenditures going forward?
It's just the income line. It's the income line item in the budget for tap fees. It's where it shows, but it covers all your expenses.
I just didn't know if it has to be reserved for a certain, like, you know, on our budget, when we're going through it, there's certain revenues that we have to put into reserve, and we can't spend it on anything other than those. Like there's some fees that come into the county clerk's office and those kind of things. That sits in there and account for them, and it's used for them. Or there's some that comes in for the animal shelter when they get donations or something like that. It's reserved for that. So I didn't know if these fees are reserved for a particular expenditure.
The department as a whole is already under an umbrella of that preservation, where it has to remain within the water department's whole self as well.
At the end of the day, your profit loss, whatever, you got to have show profit at the end of the year. I don't think we line item specify anything. Now you may, if you have a loan or something, you have to earmark some money to hold back to cover that loan in the budget. That would be one of the only earmarks I would know of. Say if you had $1 million loan, you might want to some rural development may require you to bank that money payment for a year and have that backed up just in case there's something goes wrong or you can't make your payment. That's usually a requirement of some of the loan. That's the only requirement I know of anything we'd have to earmark something for.
And the reason I'm asking is I think something else that may come up during budget hearing, may not, I don't know, but it's certainly something that I've heard some about, and I'm sure probably some of you have too, is extending service to these unserved areas. And I know that's something we're looking at as part of our 20-year plan after we did the feasibility study, but that's already something I've heard. And I think trying to explain how the revenue comes in for the water department and what it can go for, what it can't go for, and how it has to be figured up, that it's even the water department, your accounting is different from the county general fund. That's different. So I think just trying to explain why some of these projects haven't been done, or, you know, how that figures in, how it has to be paid for, those kind of things. I can see some of those questions coming up at the next budget hearings we go to. If not, I know I've been asked it several times, and maybe some of you have as well. So I just think it's something we need to keep at the forefront of our mind about, you know, these revenues we've got coming in, how are they used to pay for projects?
Well,
Yeah,
go ahead, Tommy.
I'm sorry.
Well, with an increase of 30% for the purchasing price for the meter alone, I think that speaks volumes. But Tommy, what did you have?
I just going to add, you know, when I first come here, we did that like a 10-year plan, and there's some, and me and the mayor talked about this, there's some projects that we looked at in that 10-year plan that would tie in loop lines. And that's a benefit to us because of the water quality issues. It stops. It also, it increases the ability to serve your customer. But if you have a problem over here in this section and you have to cut this line off, you can rotate that water around another way. Those are projects, yeah, I think are worthy to do. They're going to fall in that area, probably not making you much money back, but they do cure a health issue or a service issue. The one project I asked y'all about, just as an example, up in Halltown, a little 1,500 feet section, if we could tie that in. If we ever have to cut water off anywhere, water flowing down toward Dalton Hollow Road, you're gonna have probably about 700, 800 customers out of water. But if that tie-in was existed, it wouldn't be an issue. And we wouldn't have to spend like 2 hours trying to get air out of everybody's lines and getting all that back. Those are just examples of things that we could do to improve the system. And I think that's what our 20-year plan hopefully looks at, some of those things and how to improve. Because we are service oriented in that sense of trying to keep people in service. And the more we keep people in service, the better their health is and so on. But they are some projects I think might not fit, you know, payback, but they do serve a purpose, if that makes sense.
I just think we need to stress that those questions are going to be something we're looking at to address on our 20-year plan as we go forward, that we're not forgetting those. We are actually trying to include them in the plan and see actually we're going to fund all these projects going forward. Because I know it's a large amount. I believe the feasibility study, and Evan, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think all the projects all together was around what, 11.4 million for all those unserved lines. And that's not including a water treatment plant and sewer system upgrades and all that stuff over the next 20 years. So I just want to make sure that if that question does come up, that we can assure them that is something we are looking to address. That's why we're doing the 20-year plan to schedule all that out.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And just one more, if I may, and I'm sure y'all may know, if you don't, we submitted and those unserved areas, and we submitted the water plant into Representative Rose's funding toward the Congress for the 219 funds through the Corps for they're doing it as a regional, but we got to submit some of our own projects. So we put those into that money for funding. We might get a 75-25 split of that, maybe 75 loan, 75 grant, I think it's 75 grant and 25% loan or whatever, or match. So if we get that, that would be a great help for the community. I can't say we get it, but we did submit it in that program.
Well, I think increasing these tap fees will help us work towards that.
Where do I hear this body? Do we have a motion to approve for the request for tap fee increases?
Are we only increasing the 3/4 inch at this point? And is it going to be 3,000 instead of 2,600?
No, I think we need to increase them all across the board. Especially, I mean, another year of cost increases like we had this year. If we just move to 25% profit, then another cost increase a year like this is going to eat all that up. So I say just jump ahead. I think Todd's doing some math.
That's fine. I just wanted to be clear.
Cover it all. Otherwise, we're going to be sitting here every 6 months.
So I'm still adding up. For example, on the 3/4 inch, if we did 25% increase, it would be adding $464.05 to the current fee. If we did 30%, it would be adding $572.61 to the current fee. So maybe we go somewhere in the middle and say 500. You know, that's 27.5% increase. It's an even number, even increase. Making the new cost $27.50. And if you know, we can. Let me finish doing the math here, I guess.
So we're adding this up for the difference of the 25. On the first two items, the meter and the appearances, not all the lines that are included on this.
All right, so starting over, 23/4 inch meter, 25% increase would result in an increase of $464.05 over the current fee, making it $27.14. 30% increase results in an increase of $572, making it $28.22 for the total fee. So I don't know, what do y'all want to do for a actual, do we want to do a round number or a percentage increase?
Do we have to have a set price? But we have to have just a round number on file, so to speak. Where I'm going with this is, can we not, let's say prices go up again, could we not say it's going to be cost plus figure in our profit?
No.
Well, now there is, if somebody come in tomorrow and wanted a 6-inch meter, that's going to be calculated. Whatever the cost is plus 20%, or if y'all say go higher, but that's the norm for a large meter that you don't normally keep a tap fee for.
No, I'm fine if it's cost plus 20% or cost plus 25%.
What? Yeah.
Where I'm going at is those, we tie ourselves down with a number, and then our costs go up and we don't do anything to adjust to it, then we're in a money losing situation.
All I can say, I've not seen a utility do that on a small, this 3/4 1-inch meters. Anything but 2 and up, you might see that, but I've never historically in my career seen it on a 3/4 or 1-inch. They usually just set it at a set rate for that term.
I'm fine if we do a number.
Yeah.
I feel like going forward, we need to pay close attention to what you're having to spend and come back and adjust as needed.
And I can look at that quarterly or every 6 months, whatever y'all wish me to do.
Yeah, I think at a minimum once every budget year, we need to have this discussion in, February, March about seeing where things stand. And I said it's the profit change or what those numbers are. If we did profit at 25 versus 20% and 30% versus 20%. So
I'm good with 25% because we know right now that covers us, and as long as we're going to come back and look at it on at least an annual basis, then I'd be comfortable just with the 25%.
Is that a motion?
Motion to adjust the 3/4 inch tap rate from $22.50 to $27.14. The 1-inch tap from $2,600 to $31.57, and the 2-inch meter from $5,500 to $74.63. That's a 25% in. That's at a profit rate of 25% plus the current cost.
Beginning July 1st.
Beginning July 1st, 2020.
We have a first on the floor with Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second for Mr. White. Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Mayor, sorry. I said I was quick. I was
No,
quick with the
that's all
draw,
right.
so.
I'm gonna be the lone no vote, but it's all right.
All in favor, if we'll take a count. Mary Jo. Mark White. Yep. Todd Weber. Kendra Stafford. Dwight Jules absent. Stephen Chambers. No. Heather Bay. Aye. 5-1, motion carries. Thank you. Any more discussion? Our last thing for the general manager's report is the approval for a surplus 2013 Ford Transit Connect van. Tommy?
Yeah, it's one of the items we was going to sell. I brought it up. There's been a request to someone, one of the departments, I guess it's a department of the county, the pound, would like to have it, but I think they'd like for it to be donated if possible.
This is the depreciated van, if I'm correct.
Yes, it's depreciated. It's we bought it for a purpose and never really got to use it. It's got some fuel issues. It probably the most expensive thing to fix on it's the door in the back. It's broke, but they felt like it'd be something they could use. If it's up to y'all, if y'all wish to donate it to the department. It has been done. Other departments do that to help other departments out. It's up to y'all to do that though, to make that decision.
Can we confirm that there's not any way that it would be out of line or improper for us to do such?
Well, first of all, it's to the animal shelter and the director is here. Whether that, I don't know if you could transfer it as a donation or if you'd have to take whatever the value of it is on that one. I do not know. Is that what the question is? I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
On that, I'm not sure. I know it's depreciated out and it does have some issues. So I'm not sure what the current market value of it would be at this. And again, I don't know, Tommy, is that something do you know answer that question? Now that it's depreciated out, is that something that can be, I guess, transferred in and considered as a donation to another department? Or since the water department is an enterprise fund, it has to make money, do we have to pay whatever the remaining book value of that would be?
It's no longer an item on your depreciation schedule. It's zeroed out. My history that in other places, I've seen people just transfer the asset over to some other department that needed it. I don't know if that was actually, if there's a requirement for that you had to meet or to sell it or do what. Unless we're changing or violating something of the county's rules. I don't know, are we, Mayor?
No, we've done interdepartment transfers before and we not made them pay. Like we transferred a dump truck that the highway department was using anymore. We transferred it over to the public works and we didn't make them pay anything for it.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak since this topic is regarding your department and it is on the agenda? You are more than welcome to. If you'll introduce yourself, please. You'll need you to push the button on the left-hand side, please. Thank you.
So my name is Rebecca. I'm the director of the animal shelter. Currently, we do have a truck from Public Works. It respectively needs to be retired. Just asked to provide some things to you. We were hoping to get some kennels to put in there to transport dogs back and forth to the clinic. We also go to board meetings, to keep up to date on different topics and things like that. So we would use that truck as well. The one we have barely makes it back and forth to the clinic. Several times it's almost broken down. So, and that one came from Public Works. And so, the van seems to be able to house dogs inside in a climate controlled space. We don't currently go out to pick up any dogs, but basically, like I said, we would just transport them back and forth from the shelter to the clinic. we wouldn't use it in any other capacity other than just to go back and forth. And then, like I said, going to meetings or anything like that, if that's what we need.
I don't think that this would be a situation where we would want to micromanage what it was used for once it was in your possession.
Okay.
I think that due to liability, I think we would really need to make sure that we are removed from the van's ownership completely prior to your utilization for you all. I would like to get a confirmation for the process and how we need to do this. And I don't know if it's going to be with the TAUD or if it's going to be, because I've purchased some things that have depreciated out at a very great value. But I do have a couple questions for you. So you do understand that this van has some issues. There's a door, there's some fuel issues. Do you all have a mechanic or a great volunteer mechanic that can help you all with fixing these situations?
I don't have anyone. I'd imagine that we could.
Or in your budget?
That's what we were going to hope to bring it to the budget committee to see if we can get that in our budget for the van. When
is that next meeting, please?
To my knowledge, they start next month.
What do you have a board meeting for your group though that you meet? Because you're not a county entity. Are you a 501c3?
No, we're part of the county.
You are part of the county? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I apologize. I was under the interpretation you were a 501c3, and that's why I was so concerned about the transfer of the van to one of the non-government entities. So thank you for that clarity. So you are within the umbrella of the county. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Madam Chair, I would just say, in talking with Ms. Trout, and from my perspective, we understand that the van would be accepted as is, and there's no warranties or anything like that made by the water department. I think we looked at it. She went out there with Tommy and some others, looked at it and saw what some of the issues were. So, and she did include a request to fix the van in her budget request. So that should be going in front of the Budget and Finance Committee to look at it. We just got our members reappointed to the Animal Shelter Board last night. So I'm hoping to call a meeting of them now that they're all been reappointed to address some of these things going forward. But I will say, working on the van, doing some work is in her budget request.
And do you have this in writing?
I do not, as far as that goes, but that's why we want to bring it to the board and see what exactly the board's thought were on it. Again, if it needs to be done different for the water department, the highway department, I think it was done, I think last time maybe the highway commission did a resolution or something in a minute saying we agreed to transfer it, and then the county, I think there was a resolution or there's something the county draws up. I can't remember if it's called a resolution or what it is, showing the transfer from one department to another. That's usually what we have in writing as far as that goes. If the water department requires something different, we're more than happy to work with them to get that drawn up.
Okay. Ms. Rebecca, can I have you on record stating that you will receive, if you were to receive this van, that you would receive it as is?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have any more conversation? I would recommend that we have movement on this. Can we get some form of movement?
I move that we donate the 2013 Ford Transit Connect van to the animal shelter.
Thank you, Mr. White. I have a first on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Weber. Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rebecca. Congratulations. The next thing we have is public comments. You have any public comments? We have some. I take that as a no. All right, then does the board have anything?
Madam Chair, I have a question, and I'll be honest with you, I'll disclose this. Somebody just texted me saying that Todd's motion was to make the tap fees effective July 1st, 2020, not 2022. And so I'd ask if Mary Dale could read that back and see if it was the correct date. I just wanted to verify that, because that's why I asked for y'all to use the microphones and everything, because people start flooding me with text messages as we're sitting here going, I can't hear anything. So
thank you for that clarity. All in favor that his motion was a 2022, not 2020? I have aye. So if we'll just bring it back to the table.
Yeah, just for clarity, Madam Chairman, I'm going to make a motion to revisit an item previously voted on at this meeting, that being the tap rates, just for the specific purpose of making sure we have that specific date. I don't remember it saying 2020. I thought it was 2022, but again, we've had some issues here lately of people claiming certain things, and I want to make sure everything's done by board.
I'd like to amend my motion regarding the tap fees. 3/4 inch tap fee will be changed to $2,714. 1 inch meter will be changed to $3,157. 2 inch meter will be changed to $7,463, effective July 1st, 2022.
Thank you. Motion on first, Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. White was a second. Thank you for that. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Any other board member comments?
I want to apologize for if I've looked like I've been a little difficult tonight, but I promise you I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to make sure we've done everything and addressed issues that I think are going to come forward. And then we know that, like I said, I just know these questions are coming. I'm just trying to prepare us for it. So again, I'm not trying to be difficult or argumentative or anything like that. I just see these issues coming forward, and I was trying to get them addressed and make sure we're aware of it.
I appreciate it, Mayor.
So I appreciate your indulgence.
That's right. Thank you for bringing them to our attention. Thank you for the clarity. And if I can get a motion for adjournment, if no one else has anything.
I'll make a motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Second, everybody go home will be our votes.